No, I said that it was going to start at 2:30, but I've got appointments and stuff. So today we're going to be a little bit early. And as always, I'm trying to get things figured out as technical difficulties abound. But the third time's the charm, like I said. So today I'm going to be doing an illustration that I've had in my head, and I've had this whole um, storyline character that I'll talk about in a few minutes. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of the other stuff that I'm doing. I've released on Kickstarter, and it's over. It's like a week done, and I'm still waiting to. I'm collecting addresses and all of that cool stuff, and I'm going to be sending out these busts. I've made 20 of these busts, and I've got to do a little bit of sanding and some other stuff. Um, but it's More Grim the Savage Cyclops, and that was on Kickstarter. And I appreciate everybody that backed it. This is a newsprint version of the book, which there is only a limited supply of newsprint. So everybody's going to get a newsprint copy and a regular copy. And but then I don't know how much newsprint I have, so I'm going to have to really figure out what kind of project I want to do and to use the newsprint. The my camera is doing funny. Oh my gosh, this is just crazy. Why is this doing this? Is it because of this? I think it is. I think it is because of that. Um, it's the dongle to the sound. So I might have to unplug that and try to do that again. But anyway, also there's Random Access. It's a full size, full color anthology that I produce with a bunch of other artists, and it's really fantastic. It's great art, great stories, and you can get this at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin, or Alex Turbin. I can't remember. I can never remember which it's Alex or Alexander. And also, hopefully, the sound is going. I would hate to stream this and have there be no sound, and then I would not be able to use it. But hopefully, everything will work out. But until we get know that, and um, until I start drawing in a couple minutes, the very first thing that we're going to do, I promise, the live streams are going to go much better once I kind of figure things out. Once I figure out the time, once I figure out all of this technology that I'm using and doing that is kind of new to me, and I get confident with it and all of that stuff, then I promise that it'll be a lot better. But until then, I appreciate everybody that stays with me and checks this out. Whoever is watching, I appreciate it. The first thing that we do, and this is one of the things I want to do with guests, because I want to have guests on at this, at this time. And one of the first things that we're going to do is I'm going to ask 3 trivia questions from one of these books. I have this Obsessed with Marvel, Test Your Knowledge of the Marvel Universe book. I have a Star Wars one coming, and then there's also a Star Trek, and there's a movie one. So I'm going to get those 4, and then whenever I have a guest come on, we're going to do 3 of these trivia questions. So we're going to 802, because I really love the ease that these trivia questions. You can go to the page, and this little electronic device just says what it is. So 802, where it's 802, next page. 802. What body part does Arnim Zola lack? A, hand, B, leg, C, arm, or D, head? D. I'm confident in that one. Ding, 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 ding. So I am 1 for 1. Oops. 1 4 1 1. So I've been doing Comic Book Jeopardy on YouTube, and I recommend that to everybody that loves comic books, because the questions get significantly harder. They're none of them are super easy. Even the easy ones are kind of a little bit more difficult. But I've been having a lot of fun with that, and I might do a stream of that, just me doing that and talking about comic books and stuff like that. I think that might be kind of fun. The hosts are pretty bland, but I just like the questions and stuff. 1411. How come it's one of the big ones. The most unusual of the Marvel Mutants teams, X-Statix, debuted in X-Force 116, 2001, usurping the name of a previous group. Traditionally, superheroes are selflessly motivated to fight for justice without expecting any financial reward. Created by writer Peter Milligan, very unsung writer. I think he's Peter Milligan. He's one of those Vertigo writers. I think he's a fantastic writer. So many Jamie Delano. And there's a bunch of them that did a lot of the early Vertigo things that are totally um, underappreciated. I think. Became costume crime fighters in order to become media celebrities, to exploit their notoriety and to make themselves rich. But it was a dangerous path to take to fame and fortune. Most of the team were killed in the first issue, but X Force slash X Statics seemed to have no trouble recruiting young replacements. Among the many unusual members of the team were its leader, the Orphan, aka Mr. Sensitive, anarchist bloke, dead girl, shown above, who is literally dead, Dupe, a strange, seemingly non human creature, El Guapo, fat Saint Anna, Spike, Hugo girl, Venus de Milo, whose body was made up of pure energy, and Vivisector, who was Ecstatic's cameraman. Um, a, dead girl. B, bloke. C, fat. D, dupe. I'm going to say dupe. I've never read Ecstatic. I kind of want to now, knowing that it's created by Peter Milligan and Mike Alred. I think I've always wanted to kind of check it out. I was never a big fan of Dupe in the X-Men, and maybe that's because I just never had any kind of reference as to who he was. I'm going to say Dupe. D. D, correct. Dupe was the cameraman. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, 496. All the way back here. 496. Doop, 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 doop. 496. 494. 400. There's a page between those. 496. Who sacrificed his life to save J. Jonas Jameson from the Kingpin? A. Bennett Brandt. B. Captain George Stacy. C. Frederick Foswell. D. Nick Kazenberg. I have no idea. Um, I'm going to say A. Bennett Brandt. Why not? So I'm 2 out of 3. And the second one was a guess. But, I'm going to take it. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And then it'll eventually come off by itself. So let's get into drawing what I've been thinking about. And I will talk about and get your opinion on maybe some of the comic book stuff that I've been working on. So um, I am working on Entropy Alliance with Joseph Leonardo. I'm working on the next issue of Morgrim. I'm working on coloring, which I only have the coloring to do on half of the issue of um, 1900s horror. So that's definitely going to be done. But do I go and work on the second issue before I work on something else? I'm working on Mutandis. Um, Number 7, is this? I think this would be Mutandis number 7. That is crazy. And what else am I working on? I think maybe Forlorn. Maybe I would work on some Forlorn. Um, and no, and random access always. I'm always working on random access. I need to do the next chapter of Cyrene. That's the one that I'm really going to do next after I'm done coloring the Forlorn 5 pages for the next random access in issue 40. So issue 41 will have Cyrene's next thing. And then I need to get back to Queller, and I need to get back to Death Knights, and I need to get back to um, Forlorn, and I need to get back to Symborgs. So there's a lot of stuff I'd like to do. But one of the things that I've always wanted to do is I've always wanted to do a comic book on Evel Knievel. So one of the things about Evel Knievel is, and I'm just going to dive in here because I have an image in my mind, and I think it might have to go this way. Um, the thing is about Evel Knievel, and this is a really dark pencil, so I'm going to have to go really lightly. So hopefully you'll be able to see some of the stuff that's going on. Um, the thing about Evel Knievel, um, the problem I have with doing Evel Knievel is that and I've done two illustrations so far that I posted on Instagram, and I have them, and I colored them actually and everything. One is Evel Knievel in a cast, and he is he is has a broken leg and a broken arm, I think, and stuff. And I really like that one. And that was um, actually, do I have three? I have that one, and then I have another one where he is his motorcycle. I think so. Maybe I have three. He's in his on his motorcycle, and and we'll do this. Uh, and he's I can't remember what he's doing. But then there's the third one of him fighting the Hell's one of the Hell's Angels, and that is one of my favorite ones because it is such a fascinating thing to me that he um, is that a sissy bar? Is that what it's called? Um, that he and his group of daredevils or stuntmen or whatever, um, they they actually fought the Hell's Angels in one of at one of their events or whatever that they were putting on. I guess the oh, was it the announcer? The announcer said something, and then I cannot remember what happened, but Evil Knievel found out that the Hells Angels were there, and he was really anti-drugs, anti-crime, and he was really religious. So he and his fellow gang members, not gang members, stuntmen or whatever they were called, daredevils, he and they went and they I'm having a really hard time drawing this motorcycle, which motorcycles are super hard anyway. So I don't know, but I'm gonna have to move his god this the character anyway. Um, so he and his Daredevil guys went and they fought the Hell's Angels, and I don't know if he got hurt there or whatever. But apparently, I don't know um, if what happened after that. I'll have to do a little bit more research because I've done quite a bit of research on Evil Knievel and stuff. But I don't know if he got hurt or anything. But it's just interesting that he got into a fight with the Hells Angels over some of this stuff. He also got into a fight with one of the. This just not just. It looks right here, I guess. I guess it looks okay here. The the biggest problem is for me is that I am not a motorcycle guy. So all of the motorcycles I've ever drawn with for with Evil Knievel in it has been super heavily referenced. So I don't really know. I just don't know about motorcycles. I'm not really a motorcycle guy. I'm not really into motorcycles. So it's really hard to say to for me to draw motorcycles out of my memory when I'm not into that kind of a thing, I guess. Um, Although these wheels have got to be further down. Um, I know some of the mechanical stuff of it. There's like a this thing or whatever, the exhaust. There's the exhaust, and then there's like the main engine. Anybody who is like a motorcycle aficionado, if you check this video out, I would really appreciate some input on maybe how the best way to draw a motorcycle would be, because that would be cool. One of my problems is that sometimes when I try to draw like an elongated um, perspective on something, then my perspective gets all out of whack. But I'm trying to do something with that. I'm trying to change the perspective and change it into like this weird kind of elongated kind of thing, whether it's a stretched roof or something like that. Um, but so if anybody knows anything about motorcycles, I would appreciate some tips and drawing motorcycles, some tips and stuff like that. Also, I don't know if I can see anybody who makes any kind of comment. So if you make a comment and I don't respond, it's because I didn't see it. It's not because I didn't want to respond, because I love to talk about comic books with you guys, especially like what is a power comic. I was just looking at the Power Comics channel, and this actually those go together. That's dumb. Um, they kind of decide what a power comic is, but they kind of don't. So I think there's going to have to be some decisions on what a power comic is. I'm trying to get another artist creator to do a power comics show with me, and so we'll look at some different power comics and stuff like that, and really kind of maybe take over where Evan and the other guys they maybe they left off with the power comics and stuff, which would be really fun. Um, but I don't know. So anyway, um, this thing that I'm doing is Evil Knievel, since you probably cannot, or you probably can figure out. And I love Evil Knievel, not in the fact that I don't have all kinds of Evil Knievel merchandise. I don't have all kinds of Evil Knievel toys, but that's mainly because they're so expensive and they're so um, hard to find and all of that stuff. Um, I think this actually goes above this. I think this goes above it. He had one of the things I don't know about motorcycles is that he had a specific kind of motorcycle, and I don't really remember what it was. Like I said, I just whenever I drew it before, it was heavily referenced, so I didn't really understand a lot of the stuff that was going on with it. But if I do a uh, Evel Knievel biography. It's a biography when somebody else does your history and stuff. Um, if I do an Evel Knievel biography, which I am 100% planning to do sometime before I die, um, uh, because I really love him, and even though I don't have all kinds of um, memorabilia or stuff like that. Me remembering his the wind up pull back toy that he used to have. I used to have. I loved that. And there's actually an Evil Knievel Instagram page which I don't follow because I don't um, agree with them politically. They kind of rubbed me the wrong way with some of their politics, which I don't know if that's the correct way to think. But I mean, I'm not going to support somebody that I don't believe politically. I understand if somebody doesn't agree with me politically, if they're going to not support me, I completely understand that. And I agree with it. They shouldn't be supporting me if they don't agree with my politics. I can't remember if there's a sissy bar. I didn't even know it was called a sissy bar until Jake Jacobs told me about it. We were doing what was air bikes. We were doing the air bikes for the Duke, and I put one of these sissy bars because I kind of wanted to give it a remnant of motorcycles, even though it was an air bike and it flew and it you didn't drive it on the road or whatever. I wanted there to be kind of like a remnant of it or like an authenticity of it or something like that. So I did that, and he said something about the sissy bar, and because I don't think he liked it. But I was like, all right, well, we'll just take it out. I don't care. But there's a lot to motorcycles, and I don't know them. And so I would really love if there's an artist out there who loves to draw motorcycles. I would love to partner up with them and and figure something out. If I could do the figures, or even if I could just do some of the artwork and they did the rest of the artwork, I would really like that. um but there's all like, I don't know what this is. I don't know. I don't know this. I need some sort of reference here for this. I mean, it looks kind of like a motorcycle. I know there's this part here. I know there's this part. I know there's the exhaust and then the engine thing. I just don't know what goes here. I don't know what goes here. I don't understand that. I don't know how far the wheels should be down. And what about this? I don't know what this should be either. But that's okay. Um, because we're actually doing this. We're creating the character. Oh yeah, and this the kickstand or the or whatever that is, where the kickstand would be. I don't really know. Um, so Evil Knievel, I really love Evil Knievel. Evil Knievel. but I don't love him for his jumps, all of that stuff. I love him for his costume. I love him for his, like I said, he got into a fight with the Hell's Angels, and I like, who gets into a fight with the Hell's Angels? Um, Evil Knievel must have been crazy to do that. I'm going to have to move this a little bit further down to um, if it's going to be actually anything. Um, but who starts a fight with the Hell's Angels? That's the craziest thing ever. I used to know a guy who was, I don't know if he was part of the Hell's Angels. He must have been, because remember that Marvel character Hell's Angel, and they had to actually change her name to Hell Diva or Hell something like that. But the first two issues came out as Hunter S. Thompson. What's up, Naster? What's Hunter S. Thompson? I don't know what you're talking about there. Um, but he actually went to the courthouse where they were having the litigation to get Marvel to take out the Hell's Angel, or to uh, change the name of the character, because that is their brand. That's the Hell's Angel is brand. Um, so they did. Marvel backed down, or they lost, or something. But my friend there actually, so he must have been a Hell's Angel, and he actually had gone to prison. And before, I believe it was for selling drugs. He owned a jewelry store, and he was selling drugs either out the back or something like that, which this doesn't look right. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Um, the He was like selling drugs or something. His brother worked at where I worked, the ground round at the time, actually. And I think I might just have to make the chest smaller. Well, I need to make this person smaller altogether. I don't know. Um, so he was selling drugs out the back of his jewelry store, and he went to prison for 3 or 4 years or whatever. I think people were thinking that he snitched on his. I think it was actually less than 3 or 4 years. I think it might have been only a few months, and he people were saying that he actually snitched on somebody to get out of prison earlier. I don't know if any of that is true. I really like the guy. I can't remember his name. Um, I really liked him. He's a really cool dude. He became a Buddhist in prison, and so he and I had that in common, because I'm a Zen Buddhist, um, and that was really cool to have that in common and talk to him and stuff. And also the fact that he actually had the Hell's Angel comic book that was used for that. So I don't know if he was there, or if he just somehow got the comic book from that thing, which would have been cool anyway. Do I have a Hell's Angel? I don't think I have the Hell's Angel. I think I have the 2 and 3 and 4 after they changed the name. Um, but anyway, um, it's just crazy that they got into a fight with the Hell's Angels. Was it a big fight? Were there like two or three of each of them that got into this fight? I don't know. Um, I have no idea, but it's it's just super interesting to see, or to know about that kind of a thing. So this doesn't really look like it's a jump, but it is a jump, and I'll try to figure some of this stuff out. It's not perspective; it's proportions. I'm looking for proportions. I want him kind of leaned over. Um, so where was I? Oh, why I love Evil Knievel. And please let me know if you guys, if you're of the appropriate age, then you must love Evil Knievel, because anybody who's my age, I'm 55, or older, even a little bit younger. I think people maybe in their getting into their 50s probably would love Evil Knievel as much as I do. But and then I gotta get the hands. If I gotta get the hands around the handle. So I gotta make the forearm bigger, longer. So I gotta make a little bit more of a thing here. So anybody my age group, kind of, they must love Evil Knievel. It's just, it kind of is. If you're male and you're near my age, you love Evel Knievel. There's no other thing about it. I think I've never asked my best friend Chris if he loves Evel Knievel too. I'm gonna have to ask him that as soon as we're done with this. I'm gonna have to ask him because um, I mean he must, right? He's a nerd too, so that's something. Um, but anyway, one of the things that I did in did I do that? No, I haven't done it yet. One of the things, the illustrations, if I don't do the comic book, which I'm going to, is his first two jumps were of one, a box of snakes, which he ran into, and the snakes went everywhere. I can see that perfectly as an illustration where the snakes are, on his arms or on his neck, biting him and stuff. I think that would be really cool. And also, his second one was he jumped over, I don't know if it was a cage with a puma or a box with a puma, but there's like some kind of mountain lions that he jumped over, and that's really pretty cool too. So he jumped over a whole bunch of different stuff, and as we know, he failed in a lot of these jumps. Um, but here we're going to be doing this. Um, I'm going to make him skeletal because that is the whole kind of premise of this illustration is that I am going to have um, Evil Knievel doing this jump with his flesh and bones and clothing and all that stuff kind of being torn away from him. So he's just kind of like he's a skeleton, and this is like his bare bones, his bare bones. Um, Oh, did my pencil die? No, it didn't. I'll have to bring another pencil down here just in case. Um, but it so that it was the at first the image, because a lot of times I get images in my head of things that I want to draw, and a lot of times I'll get it out of my system. I'll think about it and I'll be like, "Oh, that's not a great idea," or I'll draw something else and that'll kind of suffice it. But really, I wanted to draw this, but I originally was going to draw Evil Knievel, and only he was going to be um, a ball of fire. There's going to be a ball of fire right here around him, and I might still do that. But he was going to be, flesh and bone and all that stuff. But then I was just thinking about it, and because that's how a lot of my ideas kind of come to me, where I'll have a beginning idea of something like the drawing him in a ball of fire or something like that, and then I'd be like, well, how could I make it cooler? How can I make it better? And then the making it better could be maybe he's a skeleton and and everything is falling. Actually, um, if I'm doing this, then he's up here. Yeah, I've got the skeleton all wrong. I've gotta put the arm a little bit further up for him to grab that. But I don't know. I think the rib cage might be too short, small, short, and then we have to kind of draw the skeleton skull or whatever it is. Um, I think we need the chest a little bit more like that, a little bit more chest-like or bigger. I don't know. I don't know how to explain some of the things I do. I know that um, the spinal cord is quite, or the spine is quite curved. It's where they get the S curve from models in modeling. I don't know what they call it. Modeling. What am I trying to say here? Where they draw fashion design. The biggest thing is the S curve, and that's the curvature of the female body. Or I guess, do they have an S curve for guys? I don't know. Um, so anyway, that is my thing. But some of the things that I wanted to do in in a Evil Knievel kind of an Evil Knievel biography would be for a time he was unconscious or he was in a coma for a time. And so I'm going to use that as kind of the fantasy aspect. Like there's going to be a part where he he gets in his rocket that he uses to jump Snake Canyon because he didn't jump the Grand Canyon as a lot of people like to say. He didn't jump the Grand Canyon, um, but he jumped Snake Canyon, and it was more like a rocket ship. So one of the scenes is going to be him jumping taking off, jumping Snake Canyon, only instead of making the jump, which I don't know, did he make the jump or did he crash? He crashed a lot. Um, and I think he broke 400 something bones. And that is actually going to be the title of the autobiography, or the biography rather, if I ever get around to making it, which I really kind of hope I do. It's going to be 430 bones, 480. It's some number. It's some like 400, 800, something like that. Bones is going to be the title of the book, and I'm really kind of um. But should I stop? What should I stop working on? That is the thing. Should I stop working on Mutandis? Nobody wants that because Mutandis is quite popular. Should I stop working on Forlorn? I've kind of neglected it for so long that I really kind of feel like I need to get back to it. Um, do I break um, Joe's heart and not work on Entropy Alliance, which I don't really put a lot of work into that as it is? He does like 90% of the work. I do like some of the character designs and some of the penciling, and then I send it to him, and he does like so much of it. He turns it into this fantastic art. So I want to continue to do that. Plus, I love working with him. He's awesome. Um, but I mean, so there's Forlorn, there's which I guess that should be the first thing that I don't work on because I haven't worked on it for so long. But there again, a lot of people really like it. Like the way I go about knowing how people like it is that if I get a lot of people buying it on my website, or I have, then I mean, it's how can you like deny the fact that if enough people buy it on the website, how can that not be what they enjoy, really? Um, should I leave boots on his skeletal legs? Because I'm going to be leaving him out of the air, on the air, and I think I need some more bumps on his I don't know what you call it. Like I said, any motorcycle guy, I would really appreciate some feedback on motorcycles. Like, what am I doing wrong? Um, but should I leave a boot on his motorcycle, on his leg, or should I leave that skeletal? That is the thing. I just don't know. Um, so I'm really into doing Evil Knievel. The thing is, I really wanted to make Evil Knievel, the comic book biography, something a little bit more like you guys know. I always try to make my comics emotional. Like I like to make them. Um, hey, what's up, Daniel? DM. Does anybody call you DM? Um, you're how old are you? Are you close to my age? And are you into Evil Knievel? Is that like your did you have the toy? I think for most people that love Evil Knievel, they had the toy. They had the pullback toy, and that was their thing. 47, yeah. So were you an Evil Knievel fan? And did you have the toy? Did not have the toy, but loved him. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. How could he not? I mean, he wore stars and stripes, and I don't actually remember seeing any of his jumps. Um, I don't like. Maybe I was too young for that. I don't. Did you ever see? Yeah, the Team America. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen those. The only Team America I know is the um, Trey Parker and Matt Stone that did Team America. Wait, I have a Team America. No, I have USA, USA something. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I love that movie. Um, I need to see it again. I can't remember if I saw the alternate version where they have the. I'm pretty sure I did. Um, yeah, yeah. Is that the same as USA or US something? There was a US something that I have the second comic of that I'm going to review at some point. There's US something, but there's also Team America. Um, so I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to draw this motorcycle, but I'm not a motorcycle dude. I'm not a car dude or a motorcycle dude. So those are two of the things I super struggle with. I think a lot of, if not most, if not all artists, um, struggle with vehicles that aren't science fiction anyway. But you do what you can. You do what you can. Use whatever reference you can. If I was going to um, thank you, thank you. So I don't know if you were here when I was talking about the original concept of this. I originally was going to do Evil Knievel in this pose, and it was going to be like a fireball where I was going to have fire, um, you know, trailing him and stuff. But then I was like, as always, and I don't know if this is your the way you work too. Like I'll come up with an idea and I'll think about it, and then like, yeah, I'll mull it in my head, whether at any time in the day, whether I'm driving or all going to sleep or whatever, and I'll be thinking about it, especially in my comic book stories. And then I'll change it in my head, and I'll say, how can I make this better? How can I make this more dynamic? So then that's when I was like, I'm going to make Evil Knievel a skeleton, and I'm going to have all of his stuff falling from him. Like I'm going to have the helmet here falling off of him, and I'm going to have his flesh and his clothing kind of falling off of him, like he's um, going so fast that his clothing and his skin um, just kind of falls off him. Is the best way I can put it, I guess. So I don't know. So again, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get to do the biography. Thank you. Um, I don't know when I'll be able to get to the biography of this. I would really like to, especially because I'm really thinking that it would be um, it would be watercolored. I'm pretty sure I would watercolor it because I'm really looking for a more of a kind of a modern art feel about it. This kind of looks a little bit wonky, but that's okay. Um, Daniel, are you a car or motorcycle guy? Like, do you know what goes here? I have no idea what goes here in a motorcycle. Or is this too far back? Is there not supposed to be anything there? I don't know. Um, so I don't know. Um, this is going to be his cape. Yeah, I was thinking that his cape was together with the oil tank. Oil tank. There's an oil tank here, right there. I'm gonna have to do some. Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. We're so blessed with cell phones. I remember back in the 90s when I was doing stuff, and I would have like pictures from magazines of reference or, all of that stuff. We're so lucky that you can just Google anything in the world that you need to look at, and um, you can find it and you can, check it out. So much of the wolves in Morgrim. The Morgrim wolves is heavily referenced. I'm not going to say heavily referenced. they are referenced that because I just had to use something. I could never draw a wolf out of my head, um, but I just had to do something. Um, so yeah, a lot of the wolves are referenced in this, not so far as in um, there's reference like taking the exact um, thing from that you're referencing it, and the pose, the exact same pose, the exact same look or whatever. But I don't really do that. My reference is just getting the basic shape and getting the as much of the form that I can get, and the spirit of it, more than the exact kind of exactly how it looks. But so much of this is reference. I had a real hard time. Also, when I was doing the wolves, I wanted to make them a little bit more cartoony, as in not cartoony, but as more dynamic. Like a lot of things in real life are not as dynamic as I would really like to draw. Um, Skeletons are a lot like that. They're just not really as dynamic as I think if you draw them and make them, as far as I think anyway. But there's a lot of stuff like that. So when I use reference, I try to get the spirit of it. Maybe that makes it so that some of my stuff comes out looking a little wonky, but that's okay. That's what it is. I think his cape thing here is where the stars were. But yeah, Daniel, we got to talk about doing a Power Comics thing, because I really would like to, because it is fun to do my reviews. I can kind of ramble on, without any. It's just like a stream of consciousness as I'm reading the comic and looking at the comic. But diving into a power comic with somebody else is I think that would be the best way to do it. Especially if we could get Evan to let us use the logo and or something else like that. I think that would be really cool. And if we could, like I was saying, if we could have other guest guest appearances by Tony Lorenz and Steve McCardle and stuff like that, I think that would be really good too. That would be really fun. I'm just making these stars here as like a placeholder. I gotta do some reference with Evil Knievel's helmet and stuff like that. But actually, I think this is kind of where I'm going to stop here. So I learned a few things. When I'm actually drawing, I think I need to move the camera down quite a bit more. I think that would be a lot better. And also, just setting up basic stuff. Um, but anyway, thanks for watching. I got to take off. Got to go do some errands. And next week, I would like to promise that it's going to be a 2:30 live stream. That is my optimal time for live streaming every day, or Wednesdays or whatever. But I can't promise it. But I'm going to try my best to keep that 2:30 slot open. And Daniel, I would love to stream with you. I would love to, even if we don't go over anything, even if we just draw. I think that would be fantastic. I don't know if this is the first time you've seen the stream, but I would love to do some Marvel trivia with you. That would be really fun, because that is definitely going to be my shtick, is the Marvel trivia, or the trivia, three trivia questions before the stream actually starts. I would really love that. But anyway, I got to go. Thanks for watching, and if anybody has any kind of critiques or comments about what they think I should kind of give up. Should I give up on the Forlorn and do this, because this is something I'm really kind of thinking that I really want to do. Should I not do the Mutandis that I'm working on? Should I push back the Morgrim Morgrim number 2, which I really don't want to do that because I'm trying to build a brand with it. But anyway, let me know what you guys think, and maybe let me know what your favorite characters of mine are, and because I would really, really appreciate that. But anyway, thanks for watching. And this is not what I normally do. I normally review comics from the indie comics from the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, and also whatever gives me that feeling of nostalgia, or if it's artistic or whatever like that, then I really I do that. But I really appreciate you guys checking me out. And please leave a comment and a like. I really appreciate the likes and all of that cool stuff. And I will see you again. I might do another thing tomorrow. I'm not a live stream, but some kind of video. Um, but I will definitely see you on Friday. We're going to be looking at some cool comics, and I will talk to you there then. And thanks for watching. And as always, keep on creating.